Come on in, sit right down. Keep your hands up and keep your chin down. Shut the door. Time to go with Randy Harris and Knockout Radio.
Ladies and gentlemen, Knockout Radio with Randy Harris is about to start. So get ready for the best MMA talk, games, interviews, prizes, and surprises anywhere. For Knockout Radio, I'm the voice, Ray Flores, and you can follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/Ray Flores MMA, or facebook.com/Ray Flores MMA. And now, here's Knockout Radio.
Hey, everybody.
What's going on?
How's it going?
I don't give a shit.
Gotcha.
I really don't anymore. I just don't. I put too much time and effort into things. What's going on?
I'm
Pretend like you care.
I'm doing okay.
So at least one of us do.
I'm doing fantabulous. Got plenty of stuff to talk about, too.
College football starts tonight.
Hell yeah. But you know that the new college football season is underway. That means that all non-SEC schools have automatically been eliminated from BCS title contention. So, hey,
yeah.
What are you going to do? What are you going to do?
I'm sending something real quick. Talk among yourselves.
Okay, well, what is it? Carolina's playing tonight. Who are they playing? North Carolina. Well, that's original. Got that. We had, what was it?
It was a sweet event last night.
Fight Night 27.
Yep.
Was last night, Condit versus Kampmann.
Ray Flores will be on here, 15, 20 minutes or so, and he'll give us his take on last night as well as Saturday. I'll tell you what, after watching the press conference, I'm pretty pumped. I mean, I was pumped before.
Yeah.
The three biggies, Chad Mendes and Guida. Clay will be on about 7:15, 7:20 or so. So I'm pumped about that. The Frank Mir, Josh Barnett.
Yeah.
I'm pumped about it. I mean, they're not two superstars anymore.
Right, yeah, they're old school. They're old school. It'll be interesting to see, but I mean, for me, that's not. I don't know. That's just one that doesn't really.
It's going to be a good fight.
Blow up my skirt, if you will.
Well, I don't.
It's a phrase. It's a phrase.
I don't want to get anywhere near that. I don't want to touch that. I don't know nothing about that. And then, of course, the main event: Benson Henderson.
Benderson.
Here's kind of a thing that bothers me. And I want to make sure that I word it as politically correct as possible.
UBPC.
When Clay Guida is on here shortly. Mm-hmm. Clay Guida is getting ripped on a regular basis about his new fight style. Okay?
Right.
And we'll talk to Clay about that. Chad said that he's a point fighter now. Chad said that he's fighting not to lose. Not necessarily win, but not to lose.
Right.
Doesn't GSP fight that way?
He has always pretty much fought that way. I mean, he hasn't, okay, obviously not always, but he hasn't finished somebody since 2009.
So I just want people to be consistent.
Yeah.
Either you're against it for everybody, or you're for it for everybody. It can't be pick and choose because you like this fighter or you don't like that fighter. Isn't it most important to win the fight?
You know what? I was actually going over that very question earlier today.
With yourself?
With
or
myself,
with
yes.
Okay.
This was a
discussion among yourselves?
Personal conversation.
Okay.
And I was trying to figure out, well, which is more meaningful. And at first, for the longest time, I was saying that, yes, if you don't win, then it doesn't matter how exciting you are because you're not going to fight. And then I was like, well, I mean, you can be exciting, but if you're not winning, then people will eventually lose interest in you, and people won't be excited about your fights anymore. And so you're going to get cut. So I don't think you can look at it mutually exclusive. You have to be both. If you're going
exciting and win?
You have to be exciting. You have to win.
Well, you have to win first and foremost.
See, I don't think you have to do that either. Because what was it?
Sooner or later, I don't care how exciting you are, Sooner or later, Dan Hardy gets cut. Sooner or later, even an exciting Clay Guida, if you lose 6, 7, 8 fights in a row, I don't know how many Hardy lost because he lost probably pretty close to that. Sooner or later, you do get released.
Well, that's the thing, though, because I think it was Tarek Safadine. He lost 4 in a row, and he got a new contract.
With who?
With UFC.
Well, he didn't lose 4 in a row in the UFC.
Okay, let me look at that then, because then I've been horribly mistaken.
Okay. He might have lost 4 in a row in Strikeforce. He might have lost 4 in a row somewhere else. I don't even think he's fought in the UFC, has he?
Not yet, no.
That's right.
I don't think he's fought since he signed that contract.
And that's what I'm saying. So he hasn't lost 4 in a row in the UFC. He hasn't even fought in the UFC. I believe it's with Strikeforce.
Let's have a look-see right here. Okay, he has... Okay, then it wasn't Safadine. I was... Oh, sorry, it's Alessio Sakara. That's one. I apologize. Let me look up his, because he was the one that had lost. Okay, he's lost 3 in a row. He has fought in the UFC. Well, yeah, he's been in.
Wake
but
me
he's
up
lost
when
his
you're
last
done.
3.
Wake me up when you're done.
Well, I'm done.
Okay.
Just for you.
No, I'm just, when you're done with whatever you're doing.
I'm done. I'm not talking anymore.
No, I'm just saying. I didn't know where you were going, and I knew that Safadine hadn't even fought yet he's ranked. I don't know how you can rank a guy, even though I did it as well. I did it more by accident than on purpose.
I was about to say the why.
I did by accident.
Gotcha.
I don't know. Because I don't know. I'm not going to say it. I just received an email from Zuffa, and let me read it before I read it. Feel free to announce. We will work to get someone on every week, starting with our guest next Thursday night. Drum roll, please. Misha Tate.
Hey!
So Misha will be on the program next Thursday. I'm trying to get her every Thursday night, to talk about Wednesday night's episode.
Right.
So we're either going to go with Misha as often as we can, or possibly the fighter that won the day before, which will be kind of cool, which we've done before. We've done it that system as well. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We'll take advantage of the move to Thursday and review last night's, starting next week, last night's tough. In this case, we will review last night's, Fight Night?
UFN
Ultimate 27. Fight Night 27, which I thoroughly enjoyed.
I thought it was, if I had a chance to see it, that would have been awesome. But just looking at the results, some stoppages, there's a decent amount of decisions in there.
I think there was another 30-27 one way, 30-27 the other way.
And that was Court McGee defeating Robert Whittaker by split decision. 27-30, 30-27, 29-28. And
I'd love to pick the brain of the judges, but unfortunately when I don't go to the shows, I don't get the cards. When you're at the shows, they email you the scorecards and the quotes and all that kind of stuff. And I've been trying to get it even when I'm not there, because a lot of times I am very interested in who the judge is. Because then I like to pick their brains, just as a judge here in the state of Florida, but as well as, covering the sport. What are you looking for? What are you looking for? So in this case, when it's 30-27 both ways, I would just be curious what each judge was looking for.
How different their criteria was. Right. Okay.
And to be honest, every judge looks at things differently.
Sure.
I've talked to a lot of the judges that judge here in Florida that are jiu-jitsu people. They train jiu-jitsu, so they put more into jiu-jitsu. It is whatever, I guess, is your cup of tea. And
that's the tough thing, because when it comes down to it, it's not like you can say, we don't want people who train or who are heavily involved because we don't want them to be biased, but you need them to be involved heavily or be training themselves, because that experience is what they're leaning on to do their judging, because we obviously have seen how well the Boxing Commission has been supplying MMA judges.
Right. So I would much rather a judge that has done something in mixed martial arts. It doesn't even matter what, than somebody that's just a straight boxing judge who doesn't know anything at all about MMA. Oh, by the way, 855-483-6646. I've been told I don't give out the number enough, so I'm going to give out the number. Ray Flores coming up here momentarily. The second hour heavily loaded as Ryan Bader at the top of the hour, Clay Guida about 7:20. I'm renaming him. I don't care whether he likes it or not. The Houston Assassin will be on about 7:35 or so. He may be known to you or to anyone else as the Alaskan Assassin, but since he doesn't live there anymore, isn't it time to move the name on?
Well, it depends on who you talk to, because you're saying that
talking to you.
Tito should go back to Huntington Beach Bad Boy.
But he lives in Huntington Beach.
Okay.
So he is, I don't care what he says until he beats my ass. Tito Ortiz is the Huntington Beach Bad Boy. That's what he is.
Gotcha.
Now, if he was to leave Huntington Beach and move to, Jersey Shore.
Oh, no.
No, I'm just saying. If he's living at the Jersey Shore on the boardwalk, then he's no longer the Huntington Beach Bad Boy because he's not in Huntington Beach.
So he's the Jersey Shore Bad Boy?
He's the Jersey Shore whatever. Since Sam Hoger has been in Houston forever, or at least a long time. Forever is a long time. Yeah, it is. And whether he knows it or not, he'll find out about 7:35. He will be my cab driver when the plane lands in Houston. A lot of big cards coming up. You know,
True statement.
Obviously Saturday is big, but even after Saturday, it's hard to believe that then there's another event next Wednesday.
No, I believe that.
Well, hopefully because you're looking at it. You looking at it?
About to be.
Okay. Ryan Bader and Glover. Glover Bader. Bader Glover. Huge fight, obviously. More for Ryan because he's ranked lower. But here's the thing that I was kind of looking at. Glover has had 4 fights in the UFC, and he's ranked like 3rd, which I have him fairly high as well. But I'm also going to go back on the things that I have always said. Look at who he's fought. Look how many times he's fought. Look at other fighters. You know what I'm saying? So that's where I change on my rankings. You know, as we're watching some NCAA and the number 1 collegiate player on the field.
Jadeveon Clowney.
I look at not necessarily that you lost yesterday or you lost last Saturday or you lose Wednesday or whatever. In that whole circle, isn't it weird? Pettis is now the number 1 contender, yet he lost to Clay Guida. I'm just saying the big circle of life. Well, I don't know. What was it, a year ago, year and a half ago, 6 months ago, whenever it was. It was longer than 6 months. That's why I don't necessarily, I know that Sean has brought up in the past, NCAA rankings, you lose, you move down, you win, you move up a couple, not necessarily all the way above who you just beat.
True.
It's so hard to do with the MMA rankings because A beats B, B loses to C, but C beats A. So how do you rank who above who? And so it's just a total cluster.
Well, and you always have to take into account there's always a puncher's chance. So how did they win, too?
Sure.
Was it dominating? Was it a lucky punch? Did they have to work for it? Was it a finish? Was it a decision?
So
By the way, the Clay Guida fight for Pettis was June 4th of 2011.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
God, I'm telling you, just your life absolutely flies by. So go out and have a good time. Enjoy your life. Because if you would have told me it's 5 years, 3 years, 2 years, or 1 year, what would it be? I don't think I would have said it was that long ago.
Yeah.
Because it just, time continues to obviously fly. So you didn't get to watch because you don't have Fox Sports 1?
Access to Fox Sports 1 at all.
In my opinion, and I want to be very careful of this because it's Dana's world. Mm-hmm. Dana gives the bonuses. It's Dana's money. Mm-hmm. I'm not so sure I agreed with Fight of the Night. And I don't know if you read up on any of the fights or anything like that, but the Perez fight, I thought, was Fight of the Night.
Which was Fight of the Night? He called that. That was Kampmann Condit, right?
Well, that's what Zuffa gave Fight of the Night.
Right.
As I watched the fights, I thought the Perez fight was more Fight of the Night.
And how so?
It was a better fight. I mean, it was a closer fight. I mean, after the first round, I don't think anybody watching thought Martin Kampmann was going to win that fight.
He was bloody.
I'm not sure Martin Kampmann thought he was going to win that fight going into the second round. And he used too much of his energy and this, that, the other. And not to go off on the sidetrack because there are some tangents I do need to go off on. What's this whole deal with Ben Askren? Are you up on this?
Slightly.
All
yeah.
right.
I have an idea of what's going on.
Before I ask you to explain why Ben Askren, a Bellator fighter, is even getting involved with any UFC fighters, not alone a fighter that's not even in his own weight class, but Bjorn is asking or demanding or requesting or whatever Bjorn's doing that Askren fights GSP, which to me already is funny. Askren saying that his first fight when he comes to the UFC, I didn't know that was even a foregone conclusion, but when he comes, he wants his first fight to be Carlos Condit.
Yeah, as a fighter, I would imagine that you want to fight the best guy as soon as possible. He would want to fight GSP. He feels, I mean, he's said in the past that he would be able to beat GSP. He's already talked the talk. So you would imagine he would want that first available chance to, quote-unquote, walk the walk. And so I don't know why he would want to fight Condit, especially considering Condit has lost his last 2 fights against title contenders. He lost to GSP, and then he also lost to Hendricks after that. So
just pick it up. It don't matter. It don't trust me.
Welcome. Hi. How was your day?
It was great. I'm here. Listen to the show in the car.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. I was screaming because I know it's a little bit of a delay on the radio, but you brought up my boy Dan Hardy.
Absolutely.
Losing fights and still.
Right. So I'm saying I don't care how exciting you are.
But look, the one thing that came to me was Vanderlei. If he goes into a fight and swings for the fences every single minute of every single round and loses, you over there would still want him to be employed.
Vanderlei has I think that's a different situation. Vanderlei has a lot of credit build up. I think he's one of those guys.
If you put on an exciting fight,
he is a made man. He could lose the rest of his fights, and he would still have a job with UFC.
But if you put on exciting fights, and people want to pay to see it, that's what business they're in. They're here to make money.
I say you have to. I say you have to.
I know there's an event every 4 days. Why not put it on free TV?
So instead of getting cut, you get relegated to free TV.
There you go.
Well, that's the case anyway. That's what happens anyway.
Is that? I don't know. I mean, I'm familiar with when they just get cut. I mean, I don't remember any huge names going from pay-per-view main cards to free TV. The only one that really stuck out to me was Sonnen and Hua. Sonnen wasn't even supposed to be on that.
Wasn't Uncle Creepy just on a undercard of a free TV show?
Who?
Uncle Creepy. Ian McCall.
He hadn't won a UFC fight yet.
But I'm just saying, he put on exciting fights. He was fighting essentially for a title.
Okay, and enough of just shooting the crap just to shoot the crap. We finally got Ray Flores, so let's go to Milwaukee because Ray Flores was in Indianapolis last night. He's in Milwaukee tonight. Our good friend, Ray Flores. Ray, how are you?
Randy, how are you? Good to talk to you guys. Long time no talk. Hope you guys are enjoying the summer.
Everything is beautiful down here. A balmy 99.7.
I'm jealous. It's about 90 up here, but the humidity probably makes it feel like over 100. So,
well, let's get right into it. You had the opportunity, and I felt very jealous that you were in Indianapolis last night. And a lot of times people ask me about the crowd and about this and about that, and you really can't tell what it is on TV. So I'm going to ask you, since you were there, tell me about the crowd, tell me about the whole deal.
Well, I tell you what, Randy, the crowd last night was enthusiastic, very passionate crowd. And, I was down in Indianapolis a couple of years ago, and I would say that the crowd was, even though it was smaller than what happened when the UFC made their first venture to the Conseco Fieldhouse, now Bankers Life, it was about 6,000 fans, but they made the noise of about 13 or 14,000. They were there. They packed it in about 5:30, 5:45. The first bout took place even before people got out of work, so it was a little bit, casually late arriving crowd. But when they got there, they made a lot of noise. And specifically, one of the highlights of the night had to be Darren Elkins getting the victory over Hatsu Hayoki. Hard-fought victory, but they got behind the Indiana Hoosier native and certainly helped to propel him to victory, getting a hard-earned W. And, during the Carlos Condit and Martin Kampmann fight, they were standing, they were on their feet. They certainly got a treat also, as you and I both discussed over Twitter with Brian Bowles and also, or not Brian Bowles, beg your pardon, Takeo Mizugaki and Eric Perez. What a battle that was. I think that should have won Fight of the Night, but they were enthusiastic in that encounter as well. So, a smart crowd, a lively crowd. It didn't do big box office numbers, but what we're seeing via, early numbers from television, they did pretty well. So, all in all, from what I would say after what Dana spoke about during the post-fight press conference last night, it was a success down in Indianapolis.
Now, was there any truth to the matter, and I know you were sitting there on Media Radio Row, that Chris Lytle was hanging out underneath the cage in case he was needed?
Well, Chris Lytle, I think, is always ready to step inside the octagon whenever he's called upon, but he was out there having a good time, kind of living up to being a politician. He was, shaking hands, and I didn't see many babies in the crowd, but if there were babies, I'm sure he would have kissed them, and he was out making his rounds and, really being an ambassador for Indiana mixed martial arts.
Any surprises, from your standpoint on last night's card?
Well, I'll tell you what, it's kind of a double-edged sword, Randy. I was surprised at how fast Martin Kampmann came out and started. He looked tremendous in that first round. And then I was equally dismayed and surprised as how quickly he faded in the fight against Carlos Condit. Because I was sitting there and I thought Carlos Condit was going to win the fight in the second round via stoppages, and I thought he was going to come out and look sensational. And for the most part, for the first round and a half, he looked, he did not look good. But Kampmann just kind of faded, and during the post-fight press conference, they asked Martin, and we pumped a little bit, and he just said, "I gassed out after the first round. I knew I was done," and that's just astonishing because Martin Kampmann has been in war after war after war. But you can go ahead, and he's been around the block for a long time and has been a top 10 contender. Sometimes, and I know that this may not take place in a couple of weeks, and I'm talking a different sport, but everyone's waiting for the shoe to drop when it comes to Floyd Mayweather if he's going to get old overnight. And dare I say that last night, maybe we did see Martin Kampmann in one round get old overnight, and Carlos Condit certainly took advantage of that, busting up his nose midway through the second round and then finishing the fight in the third with an emphatic W.
Ray, it's very funny that's the analogy that you use, because I was very fortunate almost 20 years ago, just over 20 years ago. I went and was in the corner of the WBO cruiserweight champion Tyrone Booz when he defended his title in Hamburg, Germany, and he did that exact same thing. He got old in between rounds, and he looked great, the first round or two, and then all of a sudden he couldn't move, he couldn't do anything, and he lost his title, and he pretty much ended his career. I think he had one more fight after that. So it can happen. It's just hard to describe, and it's even harder to sit and watch.
It was. Honestly, Randy, you were sitting there, and I was watching, and it was just like, man, Kampmann looked great after the first round. It's like, this is a Martin Kampmann. Maybe, in my mind, it was maybe he is kind of taking that next step. Maybe he's not just going to be a gatekeeper and a good measuring stick, a barometer as to what a welterweight standout should be about, whether or not he's going to elevate them to being a contender or, drop them down to being a pretender. But within, as you mentioned, that first and second round, he clearly did, he just didn't have the gas and didn't have the steam, and, you can't do that. Probably I would have to gather, during, maybe between 50% of the division, Kampmann would have been okay, but against Carlos Condit, you have to be at your A game at all times. And even though he looked good in the first round, second and third round, he faded quickly, and Carlos Condit certainly took advantage of that. Now Carlos Condit's making a good case to potentially go ahead and collide once again with the winner of George St. Pierre and Johnny Hendricks coming up down the line.
And I would be one of those guys. I don't think he's making a case. I think he deserves it, demands it, and he should be given it. He's sitting right below Johnny Hendricks. So if he is the number 2 guy, GSP 1, Johnny Hendricks 2, I would say he should get that fight, win, lose, or draw.
I couldn't agree with you more, Randy. He looked great, and he weathered the storm early. But what I like about Carlos, and we saw it in between, first and second round, and during the course of the fight, he never got frazzled. Carlos has been in enough wars and has been around and has been to the dance over and over and over again. So nothing, I think, surprises him. He can adjust, and he can go ahead and, insert a new game plan or insert different tactics. And he did that, last night, looked impressive in doing so. On Fox Sports 1, a nice television audience. And, he's making his case, and now I think all Carlos has to do is sit and wait and not get hurt with all the guys at Jackson's that are fighting at a high level.
Let me ask you this before we move ahead to what happened today at the press conference, and give me some of your insight on Saturday. I know that you were in the scrum yesterday, and our counterpart from Russia is always there asking Dana when
yes,
it is.
she is.
And I want to plan on that trip. So has Dana said when it is?
He has not said when it is. I mean, he said that him and Joe Silva, they're going to go out there in October to kind of assess the situation. And then from there, they will go ahead and have more of a game plan. But he says he has no idea where. However, he did say when it comes to international expansion, he said that they are launching today on Mexican television, with programming. And then he said that the timetable is approximately 9 months that they want to be down in Mexico. And what I would say, and this is all speculation, Randy, I'm not going to tell you what is not the truth, but my speculation would be is that the new arena in Mexico City that was the home of the Juan Manuel Marquez, comeback fight would probably be the home of the UFC when they decide to make it south of the border.
I'm really looking forward to going down there. It's so safe.
Yeah, no kidding, right? I mean, seriously, I would, be very cautious.
All right, so let's talk about today's press conference. I've been excited about this card. I've been excited about the 3 fights that were on display today at the press conference, but I think I'm even more excited now. Let's start with the Clay Guida Chad Mendes fight. Obviously, you're from Chicago. You're in Clay's corner, as am I. Clay will be on the program in about an hour. Do you think Chad Mendes is throwing some backhanded things at him about some of those comments about being a point fighter and fighting not to lose, and he doesn't know which Clay Guida is going to show up and things like that?
Randy, I'm glad you brought that up because that is exactly what as soon as Chad said, I'm like, wait a minute, whoa, let's, now we're starting to see, it was a backhanded compliment because I would have to gather that, in my opinion, after hearing that, Chad may be underestimating Clay Guida. And Clay told me, we interviewed Clay, and hopefully it'll be up, in a couple of hours on ESPN.com. He said, you are going to see the Clay Guida of old. You are going to see the in-your-face Clay Guida. Bottom line is, all you have to do is win, is get in the octagon and win. And he went out there and he defeated Hatsu Hayoki back in January. Both you and I were there via split decision. It was his first drop down into the featherweight division. He's fought anybody and everybody at 155. So he got the W. Now he's going to come back. And I think Clay, although Clay does not show emotion a lot and disdain towards his opponents, I think that comment by Chad Mendes this afternoon at the press conference riled him up a little bit because I haven't heard in recent memory Clay say, I'm going back to the old school Clay Guida. And he also went ahead and told me that he is going to put everybody in the featherweight division on notice because I mentioned a lot of guys that are making cases. Ricardo Lamas is certainly one of them. Another Chicagoland guy, Darren Elkins, got the W last night, getting back into the top 10 contention or around that area. So Clay knows he has to make a statement. Clay's been around the block for a long time, and Clay certainly is well prepared to go out there and put on a show. What happens on Saturday night? Anything, but still, I think it's going to be a tremendous contest. And yeah, I mean, we should be biased in the sport, or we shouldn't be biased in the sport, but I think Clay Guida is certainly going to bring his best, and I look forward to seeing an old school Clay Guida, one Clay Guida that I witnessed early on in his career back in 2004, 2005, back when he was fighting in Northwest Indiana.
And here's the other thing that I mentioned at the beginning of the show, Ray, and I'm going to mention it, to Clay. I just wish that the media, the fans, everybody else is consistent. I'm not saying that Clay is or isn't fighting not to lose, but don't we have a welterweight champion that fights the exact same way? Yet he doesn't get ripped for it. There's other fighters that are not, on the negative side. The object's to win. And I don't understand why people can't be consistent. If you dislike it for everybody.
Well, I agree, Randy. And here's the thing. Certain fighters get held to different standards. And I thought it was an atrocity when people were ripping on, Anderson Silva when he was clowning guys and not, and disrespecting guys and things like that. It's like, well, if you don't like it, do something about it and try to turn the fight in your favor. Clay Guida has been in memorable fight after memorable fight and, fight of the night, throughout since he got inside the octagon. And as long as he's going out there and winning, I mean, these guys are not, some fans and media members alike and just people in general, they like to see train wrecks. Well, guess what? These are fighters, world-class athletes, and after a certain time, your body takes all this abuse, and the wars begin to wear on, just physically, you can't hold up to it. So do I blame Clay for not wanting to get hit, a lot? Absolutely not. That is his right. That is his prerogative, his job to go out there and get a victory and prolong his career. I'm glad I'm not seeing Clay go out there and, suffer the abuse that he did early on in his career. What does he have to prove? That he can go and get another fight of the night bonus, but digress his career another 2 or 3 years? I like seeing this new refined Clay Guida. Every fight he has to adjust, and he's certainly going and needs to make adjustments on Saturday because Chad Mendes is fighting tremendous and has been rolling through the division with the exception of Jose Aldo, getting 3 first-round finishes. So we'll see how Clay adjusts, and I think he will adjust, and it's going to be a tremendous contest. And dare I even say, it could even be fight of the night.
Well, as scary as that sounds, it very well could be, as both of those guys are obviously used to that. Where does this put Clay, in your opinion, if Clay does pull off the victory on Saturday?
If Clay pulls off the victory, I would like to see, and you put him in there with, potentially if Ricardo Lamas doesn't want to sit, maybe you put him in there with the Carl Lamas or even, Darren Elkins. Darren Elkins is a guy that, with the exception of the Chad Mendes mishap, has looked tremendous. He has the most wins in the featherweight division, and is, Elkins the most exciting fighter in the world? No, but he gets the job done. So I think you can arguably make a case for Darren Elkins and Clay Guida, both guys from the Midwest, and, who knows, I would love to see them take a little bit of a break and enjoy the holidays so that we could see it in Chicago if they do decide to come for a third straight year during the Super Bowl bye week. So, again, that is wishful thinking on my behalf, but I think that Darren Elkins and Clay Guida would love to see it happen. And actually, I spoke with Darren after the fight, and I said, listen, if Clay wins tomorrow night, would you like to fight him? He goes, I love to fight him. I respect him. We're both from the same area or the next, same side of, in the Midwest. I think it'd be a great fight. So Darren Elkins is up for it. Clay never says no to any fight inside the octagon, and we'll see how it plays out from there. So, playing virtual Joe Silva, Sean Shelby, matchmaker Randy, I'd like to see Darren Elkins and Clay Guida.
We are talking to Ray Flores, the voice of Knockout Radio. He was at today's press conference. Before we move on to the Frank Mir-Josh Barnett fight, since you had the opportunity to see and to talk to Clay, Clay will be on the program, like I said, in an hour. How is his temperament right now being a day away from weigh-in? Will he be okay?
I think he will be. Randy, I'm not going to lie to you. I saw him when we both, saw him when he was making that first cut to 145, and he looked okay then. And Clay's been a wrestler his entire life, but I think he looks tremendous now. He doesn't look like he's starving. I think he really has it down pat. And for, people to go ahead and say, well, how's the weight cut for you, this and that. He did it once. He's fine. And and he's not complaining about it. He does not look, depleted whatsoever. So I think Clay looks tremendous. I think this is going to be a faster Clay Guida. And honestly, when a guy drops weight, and I'm not going to say that Clay is old, but let's be honest, Randy. Clay Guida is not a spring chicken. So when you are dropping down even 10 to 15 pounds, in your 30s, it takes you a little while to adjust to that weight, especially when you're dropping down. So I think Clay now is has the familiarity of fighting at 145. He knows how to do it correctly. And I think we're going to see a new and improved and a Clay Guida 2.0 come on Saturday night. And I think he makes weight with no problem.
Co-main event, Frank Mir versus Josh Barnett. I don't know why people continue to ask what would have happened if these two fought 10 years ago. I think Frank Mir's comments and answers have been right on point. He's even been blatant to say Josh Barnett would have won those fights. He was an undercard. Josh Barnett was the champ. I would rather say what would have happened if these two guys fought maybe 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago. But I hate what ifs. I hate the hypotheticals. I'm looking forward to Saturday. It's two guys that are still... I have one in the top 10. I don't have Josh Barnett only because he hasn't fought in the UFC yet. After he fights on Saturday, he'll be in the top 10. But I'm looking forward to these two guys getting it on Saturday. I hope I can say that without getting sued by my good friend John McCarthy.
Well, Randy, I think all the fans should be. And I think what you need to look at, and there is a kind of... People are looking down upon Frank Mir because he did lose to Junior Dos Santos and he did lose to Daniel Cormier. But let us not forget that Frank Mir is still a very viable entity in the heavyweight division. And Josh Barnett, he's won 10 of 11. there is so much behind this fight. And also, both heavyweights are still very relevant within their divisions. And speaking with Frank after the press conference, I asked him, I go, do you feel this, the pressure of potentially being cut, if you lose 3 in a row? And he said, I don't like to dwell on it. I don't like to really consider it. But it is I do know that I'm looking at that possibility. But I will say, even though he answered in that respect, I've never seen Frank Mir this relaxed in a long time, Randy. He looks very relaxed and composed. And I kind of even thought that it was, that he's kind of too relaxed. But he responded and said, when you do everything necessary to prepare yourself at the highest level, then you should be relaxed. I'm ready to go. I know what Josh brings to the table, and I'm going to go out there and prove that I'm one of the best in the world, and I'm going to get a submission victory over Josh Barnett. Now, that's saying a lot because Josh Barnett, on the run that he's been on, has been stellar. But as you mentioned so eloquently, it was in Strikeforce, and it wasn't inside the octagon.
Yeah, so to me, it's totally different. And not that anybody, is going to call me up and say, what do you think about Frank Mir? Just like I talk about Chael Sonnen, if you look at those 2 fights against Junior Dos Santos and Cormier, Junior Dos Santos was the champ at the time. So I don't even count that. When you go and fight for a title and lose, I don't even consider that a loss, really. I mean, it is, but I'm saying you're fighting the champion. So it's no knock on your record if you lose to the champion. So if Frank Mir was to lose this fight, I still don't think he has any worries. Maybe if he loses another one, maybe if he loses 2 more, maybe. But I don't think his job is in jeopardy whatsoever. Main event, it's a fight that people have been talking about since the kick heard around the world. Benson Henderson against Anthony Pettit. And excited. I'm looking forward to it. You were there. Update us.
Well, I will say this, Randy. There is a general respect between the two, but there is also a feeling of electricity between both of them. They respect each other, but when that octagon cage door shuts, they're not going to like each other very much. So I am very excited about seeing those two collide. I think a couple of things. You look at Ben Henderson. He fights on the road a lot. He beat Gilbert Melendez down in San Jose. You and I were both there when he fought Mark Bocek in front of 55,000 rabid Canadian fans that, as Ben described to me earlier, they wanted his head on a stick. But so he knows what it's like to go into the lion's den and to come out victorious. He's also fought at home once, but that was back in the WBC days, nowhere near the fanfare of the UFC. So Ben, I think, relishes this role of going in there, and although he doesn't publicly state that he's so sick and tired of it because he's a world-class athlete and he's just, he's a gentleman and also a scholar, but I think he's sick and tired of it and just, does not like seeing himself on this highlight reel time and time again. I think it bothers him, and he's rattled off all these victories in a row, but Anthony Pettis is still, that nightmare that plagues him to this day. And he can eradicate that nightmare on Saturday with a brilliant performance. With Anthony Pettis, though, you're fighting in your hometown here in Milwaukee. You had a tremendous performance against Donald Cerrone, a little bit of an injury, but there's a lot of pressure on fighting in your hometown. And there's a lot of pressure on fighting for the UFC world title for the very first time. So that's 2 firsts that Anthony Pettis is facing, and he's still a very young man. So when you have that stage and Anthony Pettis main eventing a big pay-per-view, the fact that he's still, relatively young and in the infancy of his prize-fighting days, because Ben Henderson has fought out in Japan. He's fought out on the big show in Toronto at the Rogers Center. He's been on main events on Fox, so he knows what it is. It's a different way of thinking, and I hate to keep coming back to this point because the fight is so upon us, but Floyd Mayweather always says, guys don't know what it is because they don't understand the pressure they get when you're walking to the ring or the cage. Your knees begin to buckle, those lights. It's a different world out there, and I don't think that Anthony Pettis has any idea of what he's going to feel. There's a big adrenaline dump that he is going to sustain on Saturday night. Maybe I could be wrong. I've been a prognosticator before. I've been wrong before. It happens. But I honestly think it's going to be very interesting to see how Anthony Pettis handles that initial energy dump. If he tries to start fast, and can he sustain the pace for 5 rounds in the octagon against Ben Henderson? So this is, I think it's very interesting. And can Henderson handle the barrage? I think so, because he's handled the barrage against fighters before. So I don't think Anthony Pettis is going to throw anything at Ben Henderson that he hasn't seen before. So I think Anthony Pettis is facing adversity. Although people think he's going to harness the hometown crowd advantage towards his favor, you know, as I mentioned, first time fighting at home, first time for the world title. There are a lot of firsts. And Duke Roufus is not doing him any favors by kind of discrediting Ben Henderson. He went ahead and said in reports earlier that, you know, Ben Henderson's striking has gotten worse. Now, with him saying that, that's what he says publicly. What is the mentality of the gym at that point? So a lot of different factors. Ben Henderson, though, looks cool, calm, composed, and I think he's ready to try to put away that, that ghost that is Anthony Pettis.
Well, hopefully you or some of our other media brothers or sisters that were there earlier today still let Benson Henderson, I still, call him Benson Henderson know no matter what he does, if he wins that fight on Saturday within the first 30 seconds, he will still see that leg kick for the rest of his life. They'll continue to use that clip. I've talked to Tim Sylvia on numerous occasions. They will continue to show those clips no matter win, lose, or draw. So he's never going to get away from it, but he may be able to, even out the series come Saturday.
I completely agree, Randy. But, Anthony Pettis, with everything that he's facing, let's not forget he went out there and he bullied the bully in Donald Cerrone back in January. And Anthony Pettis is still going to come out focused and ready to go. But, Ben Henderson it astounds me. And Ben Henderson has been active since he got into the octagon in 2010, since the WC was folded in there. He's fighting 5 rounds. He's on the precipice of making history by making the most title defenses in lightweight history. That is a feat with so many world-class fighters that have held the UFC lightweight championship. That's something I think Ben Henderson isn't getting enough credit because of all of his accomplishments. And, hopefully after Saturday night, win or lose, whatever the case may be, he starts to get the credit. But Anthony Pettis, is going to bring the fight to Ben Henderson. Ben Henderson will be there. And just because Ben Henderson doesn't finish does not mean he's a world-class fighter. He's not a world-class fighter, because it's hard when he's fighting in there against the likes of, Frankie Edgar and Gilbert Melendez and all the opponents that he's vanquished in his path, being undefeated in the octagon. That's not an easy task whatsoever. And to be able to fight 2 to 3 times a year at a world-class championship level for 5 rounds, I would love to see Ben Henderson really start to make his way up in terms of top pound-for-pound rankings.
It's funny that's what you just went off on, because I was going to almost ask you the exact same thing and ask you to try to talk me into, and I respect Benson Henderson, don't get me wrong, but I look at 3 of those wins, I thought he lost. So it's kind of hard for me to put him high up on the pound for pound, because in my opinion, I thought he lost to Frankie Edgar. In my opinion, I thought he lost to Melendez. I don't want to pick a fight yet until tomorrow night, but I'm leaning towards Pettis just because of the way he has finished people, the way he does go out there and dominate, and I don't think Henderson has.
No, that is a true statement, Randy. But I just think because Ben has been so active, and even though they have been very close, decision victories for Ben, he cannot, or not to say that he cannot, but they always say you should never leave the fight in the hands of the judges. Well, being here in Milwaukee, you kind of have to take that old school boxing mentality that if this is a close fight and it goes to the scorecards after 5 rounds, you may not be you may not get the benefit of the doubt as he has in fights before. So who knows? It may level out after Saturday, but I don't think Anthony Pettis wants it to go to a decision, and I don't think Ben Henderson wants it to go to a decision as well. But I can certainly understand why people aren't placing him in the top pound-for-pound list. But I think with what his overall body of work is based on wins and losses and who he's defeated on paper, I think at least, crack him in, top 10, top 9, and who knows, even if he defeats Anthony Pettis, maybe even, we can even discuss, 6 or 7.
I don't want to monopolize your time. I know you're busy, and I know you have things to do in Milwaukee. I just want to throw this out, and then I want to just throw out a McGregor question. I so dislike people saying home field advantage, home decision, home whatever. The judges that will be judging on Saturday night, I'm pretty sure, are not from Milwaukee. When Benson Henderson won in Japan, where I thought he might have lost, those referees were not from Japan. You know what I mean? So for people to say that he's got, or if Pettis wins this fight, to say that he got home court or home field or home whatever, I don't know who the judges are. I think Sal's from Chicago. I know it's close, but it's still not Milwaukee. I think it's going to be a good fight, but I agree with you. As a licensed judge in Florida, you never want to let a decision go to the judges. Look at last night. One judge has 30-27 one way, another judge has 30-27 another.
Yeah, that is something that made us all shake our heads, Randy. And you just cannot leave it up to that standpoint. You can't allow that to dictate, and it's sad because sometimes fights do go to the decision, and fights are compelling, and guys are at such a high level, especially within the octagon. But still, you're absolutely correct. The fact that this fight can potentially go to the scorecards, either way, it's a scary entity. But hopefully, we won't have to entertain that, and we'll see a finish either way for either Benson Henderson or Anthony Pettis.
Before I let you go, are you on the McGregor bandwagon? Do you think it's too early, as I do, for him to be calling out everybody?
I understand why he's doing it, and at 145, there are a lot of world-class fighters. But is there world-class personalities? Chael Sonnen is a world-class personality, and if it doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make sense. Well, guess what? Chael Sonnen, anytime he steps inside the octagon, he gets people to watch him fight. He gets people to plunk down $50 to $55 to watch him either win a fight or lose a fight. And his ratings on television through the roof. So Conor McGregor has watched this from afar as he did, when he was campaigning within Cage Warriors. And to my knowledge, and having followed MMA on a global level, I don't remember Conor McGregor having this kind of, boisterous attitude in Cage Warriors. But he sees what he's doing, and he gets some fanfare, so he wants to call out everybody because he kind of wants to be the Chael Sonnen of the featherweight division, and dare I even say antagonize his way to a featherweight title shot. Now, I know Dana will dispel that myth really quickly, but if Conor McGregor wouldn't have gotten hurt, Randy, you could have even said he could have potentially fought in this, November, December, and if he gets a win there, who knows, maybe after 3 fights, he may antagonize his way to a featherweight title shot against Jose Aldo. Now, what happens after that point? But I think Conor McGregor sees the blueprint that Chael Sonnen has been laid. I do think it's way too premature, but I understand why he's doing it because he wants to make himself some money and potentially, follow the Chael Sonnen protocol. I think it's kind of refreshing because everyone respects each other in the featherweight division. You have so many good guys, as we talked about. A lot of them from Chicago, outstanding people. And not to say that Conor McGregor is not an outstanding person, but he maybe he wants to be the villain, maybe he wants to be, the face of the division. And right now, with the fanfare that he's gaining from overseas and, with his performances thus far, he can certainly get some of that fan acclaim, and people are talking about him. And even more so now with him being on the shelf for about 9 months, he needs to kind of go to Twitter and have these Twitter wars to keep himself relevant before May of next year when he steps inside the octagon.
Let's not wait another year to get you back on, Ray. I enjoy having you on. Have a good time in Milwaukee. Enjoy the fights. And I'll talk to you on Twitter, on Facebook, on something very soon.
Definitely. Hey, Randy, you know what? What we'll do for you, and we do miss you up here in Milwaukee, there's plenty of, everyone's out having a good time enjoying themselves. We will have a media chair that is vacant and, wish that you were right there next to us. So we love talking to you and, the knowledge that you impart. And it's always a great conversation. Hopefully, look forward to being back on Knockout Radio real soon. You
definitely will enjoy it, and we'll talk real soon. Thank you very much.
Take care, Randy. Have a great one.
Everybody. You can follow him on Twitter. 855, what's the number? 483?
6646.
Is your significant other nagging you about cleaning out the garage? Or spending too much on a storage unit? Needing to sell or purchase new or used equipment for your business? PostShareSell.com is your solution. A cool and innovative way to buy, sell, or trade online. With an easy-to-use mobile phone app and built-in sharing capabilities, post a free ad in less than 60 seconds. PostShareSell.com. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3. Post it, share it, sell it.
At least you got that dance down between the two of you. You look like the Dancing Village people.
Well,
wouldn't go that far.
Night at the Roxbury.
And I am looking into, as much as I love that open, I've talked to today with arguably one of, even though if you go to their show, they say the MC says the greatest rock and roll band of all time. one of the top rock and roll bands of all time. I'm talking to the lead singer, and they might be putting together something very cool for our new Open.
Awesome.
Can you give us a hint?
Let's just say...
It's been on Twitter or Facebook today.
I didn't put who it was, did I?
Yes, you did.
I did?
You did.
I just said that they're coming to town. I didn't say...
With the name.
Oh, yeah. Well, it is, and I think they're from Chicago, I believe. Cheap Trick.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I talked to Robin Sander a little bit earlier, so hopefully...
That was my guess.
We will work on that. All right.
Gotcha.
I did neglect, and I know that we only have about 10 minutes till the top of the hour. The WCFL was last Saturday night.
True statement.
I need to go off a little bit.
Please do.
Okay.
This is your forum. You have 2 hours to do that.
Well, now I only have an hour and 8 minutes. First, totally disgraced, totally disappointed, totally embarrassed, totally. There is a local organization, and even though there's now words going back and forth that they had nothing to do with it, that it was the fans of SPMF, which stands for St. Pete, and you can guess what the MF stands for. That should say
classy.
enough. Yeah.
Stay classy.
Exactly. It's ironic that when an SPMF fighter fought in the last event, there was a brawl in the lobby, in the ballroom, in everything. Same thing happened on Saturday night. A massive, probably 40 person brawl. And I want to congratulate the World Class Fight League for being class, and they have now banned SPMF from fighting in any of their further or future events.
It makes sense. You got to do something.
You got to put your foot down. It's going to
Absolutely.
hurt them financially because obviously there's a lot of people from that gym. But for the gym to say, or one of the coaches to say that they had nothing to do with it, I'm willing to bet what's the saying, $1 to a donut or something like that, that some of those people that were involved in the fight train in that gym.
Sure. Yeah. That otherwise they probably weren't going to be there in the first place.
Now, as I got to be careful what I say because A, I'm media, and B, I am a licensed judge in the state of Florida to judge amateur fights. But I enjoyed that co-main event leading up to the fight. Keep in mind, I don't care who wins either way. I didn't care then. I don't care now. I don't care if the SPMF fighter wins or loses before the brawl, during the brawl, or after the brawl.
It's not what it's about.
But with that said, the guy from Atlanta, or just outside of Atlanta, comes to the cage, Anderson Silva stylish, kind of Anderson Silva style. I mean, he was just smiling. I think he played the air guitar a little bit. They stuck the camera in his face as the entire place was booing him, and he did the, like Sean does, the two thumbs up.
The Fonzie.
It was kind of funny. And then the fight started, and here's where I want to go off as well. It goes to the ground pretty quickly. The local fighter, the St. Pete MF fighter, sort of has like an arm triangle on him, and then all of a sudden he starts tapping. And the referee does absolutely nothing. And he taps again. And the referee was kind of slow to get over there to stop the fight. Afterwards, we talked to the referee, and he's like, I couldn't react quick enough because I didn't know what he was tapping about. My comment is, and I want to be careful because we're all licensed by the state of Florida. Dude, it's not up to you to know why he's tapping.
It's a tap.
It's a tap. It's up to you to stop the fight. Now, afterwards, they kind of showed, Ross Kellen, who has a gym up in Lakeland, kind of showed what it was, and I need to get Ross on to explain, the whole thing. But he used the arm triangle to his advantage, to turn it, to flip it, to do with it. I'll even try to get a hold of Ross at the top of the hour to come on and explain it. My thing was the referee stopped the fight. If there is a blatant tap, it's better not to say anything. I didn't see it. Don't say you didn't see it. I'm just saying you don't say, I saw it, and I didn't know why he was tapping, so I didn't stop the fight.
Makes no sense.
Makes no sense whatsoever. All in all, it was another great night, with the exception of the buffoons that caused it, who disgraced the city of St. Pete, the World Class Fight League, mixed martial arts.
Themselves.
Yeah. Well, but obviously...
They don't care?
They don't care. it's kind of like the apology thing with me and my rules and it doesn't matter to them. Obviously, that's the type of people they are because it's not an isolated incident. It happened last time as well. All right, just wanted to get that.
Who won the fight?
The fan fight or
Yeah.
I don't know.
You didn't say?
Am I an idiot? Am I an idiot?
I'll let you take that one.
Depends on the situation.
In a situation of a full-out brawl in a ballroom at an MMA event, am I an idiot?
You'll either, one, find the back door and leave there.
Because it's none of my business. I'm not
Two-
saying that I would leave if I was involved in it, but I have no dog in the fight in this one. I could care less.
I was going to say
And the second
you
one,
wouldn't
you'd
get
find
involved at
someone
all.
who was either armed or could disarm quickly.
You are an intelligent young man. So we had Andre Gaval on last week, who happened to be sitting right behind me. And so I just went over and started to conversate with him.
So you sat right next to him,
So I sat right next to him and we talked.
and he sat closer to the door.
I was about to say.
so
he
it was
probably in
the
between you.
the angry mob, him, and then you.
Well, the angry mob was already in the lobby.
But still, if they came through a door, they would be coming through the door that was closest to him.
I don't care how bad he is. If 45 people came towards him, he's not stopping them all.
Have you not seen a
It Man.
movie, a karate movie?
This is sounding more and more like the fight scene at the end of Blazing Saddles.
I never saw it, so I don't know.
Basically, everybody in the movie goes from one movie set to the next to the next. They're all fighting. It's just ridiculous.
All right, someday I'll have to watch that.
It's worth it.
Probably not. From a combat sports standpoint, I know we talked about it last Friday. Tommy Morrison, a former boxer as well as involved in the greatest movie of all time, Rocky V. Not Rocky, not 2, 3, 4, 6, Rocky V. Tommy the Gun on his deathbed.
Really?
Yep. But I guess from what the story said, he's been on the deathbed for almost a year. Now, he has had the virus for, God, ever. I remember interviewing him probably 10, 12 years ago. The way time flies, we talked about it earlier. It could have been 25 years ago. It could have been yesterday for all I know. But
And he had it then?
yeah. And that's kind of what took him out of the boxing world
In the first place.
in the first place. And then, did the movie and came back to boxing, I believe. Definitely a shame. So, All right, 1 hour down. The second hour will be action-packed as Ryan Bader coming up when we return. Clay Guida at the bottom of the hour. The Houston Assassin. And yes, Sean, I renamed him. He's no longer the Alaskan Assassin. The Houston Cabbie. No, that's what I ought to call him. The Houston Cabbie Assassin. Because hopefully he'll be picking me up in Houston. So a ton to get to in the second hour. This is Knockout Radio brought to you by our very good friends at PostShareSell.com. All right, Ryan Bader coming up here momentarily. Clay Guida in Milwaukee will be on in about 15, 20 minutes. Been in contact with him. And then the Houston Assassin, Sam Hoger. You guys even see when he was on The Ultimate Fighter?
I do.
Do you remember?
Yes.
That was a while ago.
Got a bunch of free stuff.
Yes, he did.
Not saying he did anything wrong. He just got a bunch of free
And
stuff.
I don't think we need to get into it again, but
No.
he did do nothing wrong.
It's all in the editing.
Well, exactly. It is in the editing, as well as if you're told, take what you want, and then you take what you want.
Just don't go first.
I'm not sure he went first.
I'm just
Might have gone second.
when someone tells you, because you always take the same amount, if not one more than the person before you.
Before Bader comes on, I want your opinion, because in our notes that we got from our producer, King Mo and Emmanuel Newton rematch for the Bellator interim title.
Oh, nice.
That is one of 3 title fights that are on their pay-per-view.
Are we doing?
But that's not a title fight.
None of which are actually the main event.
Well, of course, because the main event's Tito
and
Quinton.
No.
But it's not a title fight. It's why an interim title?
Oh, God. Who is it? Somebody's
Wait,
hurt.
hold on. Doesn't this organization have a strategy to make champions?
Do they have a policy in
Something like
Isn't
that.
it called a tournament?
the tournament? The toughest tournament in sports.
So why not have a 6-man tournament or a an 8-man tournament like they normally
they had
do?
the tournament.
It was 4 men.
They had the tournament, and Newton beat King Mo.
last time.
Right.
This is a different tournament.
This is a new tournament
So just
Is
keep
it a
having
new
the tournament until
King Mo wins.
the person that you're invested in, wins it.
Well, next time it's going to be a 2-man tournament.
Next time here's the title.
Right. It might not be a 2-man. It
They
might be
call
a
that
1.
the Ronda Rousey.
I don't know if you caught it. I'm pretty excited about. We announced it earlier.
Yes.
That starting next week, as we have done, I believe every Ultimate Fighter, and we already have somebody in place for the next Ultimate Fighter, the Australia versus Canada.
Really?
So we already have some things in place for that.
What accent do we get to hear?
No sense divulging anything, and it may be more than one accent.
Very cool.
But Misha Tate will be on next Thursday.
And you can bring back the question that you did during Big Country and Shane Carwin. And when you sign off, saying how close did you come to punching Ronda Rousey in the face?
I'm going to say before they even started filming.
Do you think the percentage is higher than Shane Carwin?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
no question.
10,000%. Yeah, 100%. The filming and everything that I have been told, yes, that this is going to be action. It's going to be action-packed. And don't you want that, though? Don't you,
yes.
between the coaches? Hasn't it been more fun?
Yes.
Yeah. I just hope that there's a decent amount of pranks to go along with it. And this is probably the only situation where I say that, because normally that's extra stuff and I really don't care about it. But I want to see a little bit more than just the standard train because of what has been
you're going to
built
see
up.
Yeah, you're going to see that. But I've always said that I don't want to see all the crap that happens in the house, even though they've already showed some stuff.
And normally I'm the same way. But just in this case, I think it's a little bit more interesting.
Now, we'll ask Ryan when he comes on, but I believe he was Nogueira Mir. There wasn't any bad blood or anything with those two guys, was there?
You're talking about Bader?
Yeah.
I thought he was Team Rampage.
Well, let's figure this out.
Well, according to what I'm looking at, it says
I'm just
Nogueira versus Team Mir.
Oh, okay.
Or Mur in the from Derek. So
I don't know why I thought that then, but
yeah, Nogueira.
yeah, Nogueira Mir.
Right. So I don't think that there was anything at all, and if there was anything, it was so minor that it obviously didn't come out.
At least at that point in
right.
time.
Well, again, I just don't see.
Okay. CB was on the other one.
I don't see those guys being like that. I mean, Frank's a little arrogant.
A little. And actually, that was one thing that I sort of disagreed with Ray about, because he was saying that he was feeling that Mir was calm, composed, whatnot, almost to the point where it was too much. I thought he did that with both JDS and Cormier. I thought he just looked too nonchalant.
All right, we'll talk more about Saturday, but believe it or not, we're 5 days away. We're right around the corner from another event. We were talking about Ultimate Fighter. We can find out if there was bad blood between Nogueira and Mir. Our good friend Ryan Bader. Ryan, how are you?
Good. How you guys doing?
We appreciate your time. And just answer that for us real quick. When you were on the Ultimate Fighter and we were talking about Ronda and Misha and their hatred, was there any of that between Mir and Nogueira?
I wouldn't say hatred at all, but it started to get competitive, especially maybe some of the he said she said kind of stuff that went on, but they were pretty civil with each other. But when you have two teams competing against each other and your names are on there as coaches and you're going to fight each other, you're definitely going to develop a little animosity, I would think, and some competitiveness. But it wasn't too bad.
I would say first and foremost, but I've already asked you a question. So second and second most, how are you doing? How is your health? How is everything? You're only days away from a very big fight.
Good. I feel great. I just actually got done. I was just working with a little sparring walkthrough with Aaron Simpson a little bit here at the gym, and my last workout here, and I leave tomorrow around noon for the long flight, and then down to Brazil and ready to go. I feel great. I had a great camp. I'm healthy. I'm in a great state physically and mentally, so I'm ready to go out there, and upset Glover and all the UFC's plans they have for him and everything.
Hey, have you got that Portuguese "you're going to die" chant embedded in your brain?
Yeah, it was actually we got a call that we had to go down to Brazil about 3 weeks ago, so I was kind of bummed I had to leave in the middle of training camp, but it was good because I got to go down there and I went to the UFC Rio fight. So I was sat in the crowd and listened to the energy of the crowd, the "you're going to die" chants, all that kind of stuff. When they were all really cool to me, really respectful, everybody, it was fine, but they're definitely going to be chanting and rooting against me when it's my turn to come out, So I listened to it. I heard it. I know what to expect, and it's not going to bother me.
It's kind of like the Rocky Top, music. If you go to a Tennessee, game, you get used to it. You go to local events. I'm sure, when the Brazilians fight there in Arizona, it's the same thing. When they fight here in Florida, they start that chant. It sounds just like they're calling you a knucklehead. I don't get it, let it get under my skin or anything. I've been to Japan where, even though they're a really quiet crowd, they were booing me because I fought Rampage there and all that. And I've been to in Iowa's arena when we were wrestling them when they had 10,000 people there screaming at you. I've been in those situations before, and I just know to block it out or use it as motivation. Well, and I was just going to ask that, and we have Ryan Bader on the phone as he gets ready to head down to Brazil for the big fight next Wednesday against Big Bad Glover. The fact that some guys like being in that role, it brings more out of them, and I know Benson Henderson was asked that today in the press conference. Do you like that role, or is it just something that if it's handed to you, then you'll just have to deal with it?
As far as like the underdog role?
Well, not necessarily in the underdog role as much as
hometown.
The hometown, you're going to be the hated guy.
Yeah. I think it's more pressure on the guy, being in his hometown or home country, and you have to deal with more people. For me, I'm going down there with my, 3 coaches, and that's it. So they're all in the same state of mind I am. Nobody's asking me for tickets, or where my after party's at or anything like that, So I just focus on that, and it's kind of like the old school wrestling days when we would go to some random Midwest town and in the middle of winter and just get the job done and leave. So that's my kind of mindset going into that.
Would you say that there was any advantage in the fact that you were originally scheduled to fight Glover in May, and now, you already started a camp, you already looked into some things, and then now you're fighting him again? So any advantage kind of having a jump on it? Yeah,
sure. We were thinking about him long before, and he had to switch it up and think about Sahuna. And, so I've been having a long training camp for him, at least thinking about it when I healed up and started training again and back at it. It was for Glover. So I've been scouting him and watching video, and he's been on my mind and knowing I'm going to fight him. So I have had a lot of time to prepare for him, more so than I would have for anybody else, and even for him to prepare for me.
So you take into account his well-roundedness. He has a good mix of knockout submissions and decisions for his wins. You have all that time. What did you try to focus on to try to solve the puzzle that is Glover Teixeira?
I just got my knee was I couldn't get on the mat at all for a while. It's all healthy now, not an issue. But I worked a lot exclusively on tightening up my boxing and being more technical, straight punches, all that kind of good stuff. And then I worked a ton on wrestling and getting back into ASU. And, getting the little stuff that I needed down and going and wrestling with the pure wrestlers. So I went in once a week, at least in my camp, for this camp, and really drilled and wrestled live with those pure wrestlers. And I got back all the little things and the little things that you miss when you haven't been doing that exclusively, for the last couple of years. So definitely worked a lot on that.
Ryan, let me ask you this. As I'm looking at the list, you fought in Australia, you fought in Japan. It's still not as different as going to Brazil. Is there any issues at all on food, on what you need to eat or what you would normally eat before a fight or a couple days before a fight that may not be available down there?
Yeah, but I've all week I've packed and made preparations for it. So, like I said, it was good to go down there and actually see and scout it a little bit. I went to the city I'm fighting in Belo Horizonte and got to see what the restaurants were like, the food, what kind of food's at the hotel, all that kind of stuff. So, it's pretty salty, most of the food down there. And so I just have to keep that in mind. And I brought all this stuff like, almond butter, my oatmeal, food bars, my like organic whole food bars that I like to eat, my supplements. So I brought all that stuff. I'm going to bring all that stuff down to Brazil with me. So just preparing really, and then the rest should be easy. Probably the hardest place to food-wise was Japan. So I got through that fine, bringing my own food. So this will be easy.
What role has been, I don't want to say more difficult, took longer to get used to, being a husband or being a parent?
It's different being a parent. When your husband or you're married, there's no real difference than just having a serious girlfriend or whatnot. And I was living with my girlfriend before, so. But definitely having kids changes things a lot. And so I think it does for the better. So I have 2 kids. They're 17 months and 6 months old, so 11 months apart. So they're both young, and they're a lot of work, but they're a lot of fun. So it really kind of buckled me down as far as concentrating on 2 things: my family and my career. So I'm here training and in the gym, and when I'm not, I'm at home with my family, especially in camp. So it really just makes me focus more on those 2 things.
Well, we've known each other a long time, so here's my one piece of advice. Is it 1-1, or are they both girls?
Yeah, it's 1-1. Boys
Okay.
are oldest, girls are youngest.
Which is a perfect way, but you will see how different it is and how life changes when your little girl starts dating, because I hate life every single day of my life.
Is she at that age right now?
Yeah, she just turned 20, and she's a junior in college, and I hate life.
What's her name on Facebook? I can look her up. Just kidding.
God, we can't hear Ryan talking.
Yeah, he's gone.
Before I let you go, I know that you've been working, obviously, on your website and your app. Is the app out yet?
Not yet. I'm just getting it done through iTunes. Just signed, had the notary come in, and the guy Chris Gruler is developing it. I got it all done, so it should be out soon. So yeah, definitely look for that. I do a lot on social media and stuff, and kind of get to see behind the scenes and all my training, all that kind of good stuff, family life. So it'll be good.
I'll tell you this real quick, and then I'll call or text you later to let you know who it was. But somebody I was talking to yesterday, they want me to do some things on our website, and this person goes, "I've seen your daughter on Facebook, and she's gorgeous." That's not really what I want to hear from friends.
That's you got to watch out for that.
Yeah,
it's out there now.
It's definitely not good. Ryan, thank you very much for your time. Best of luck. I'm looking forward to the fight, and then, of course, we'll talk when you return.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Take care. Ryan Bader, another guy that's been on this program longer than most. We've been involved with him since The Ultimate Fighter.
Is your significant other nagging you about cleaning out the garage? Or spending too much on a storage unit? Needing to sell or purchase new or used equipment for your business? PostShareSell.com is your solution. A cool and innovative way to buy, sell, or trade online. With an easy-to-use mobile phone app and built-in sharing capabilities, post a free ad in less than 60 seconds. PostShareSell.com. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3. Post it, share it, sell it.
All right, we are back. I haven't given out the phone numbers because...
In a while.
Well, I also
don't
remember the phone number. So
855-483-6646. Give us a call.
Clay Guida coming up here momentarily. Then the Houston Assassin, Sam Hoger. Looking forward to all those cards. How about this? This is how screwed up what I've done. I have my plane ticket to Toronto. I booked it today.
Okay.
I have my plane ticket to Houston. I booked it last week.
Okay.
Anything I'm missing?
The return flight?
I have neither return flight. So right now, all I have are the flights to the events. So I might be living in Toronto for a while.
Wait, is Toronto the one where there's the Schwartz's Deli?
No, that's Montreal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's probably close enough, but it's too far for me to drive. How far is it?
Probably 6 or 7 hours.
All right, so I get in.
Well, if he's not coming back,
yeah, I'll move and I'll start working for Renee and Celine Dion at Schwartz's Deli.
There you go.
I just haven't booked the flight yet. So, there's just so many events.
Whole deal.
Trying to piece everything together, and obviously we work for a very frugal person.
Yeah, no.
so
you're telling me.
Thrifty. So we got to watch, the money that we spend of his.
Right.
So, I got to pick and choose and inexpensive flights and all that kind of stuff.
Can't go to the boss with the expense.
With the expense, but I don't want to keep somebody waiting that's 20 some hours away from a weigh-in. So let's go to Milwaukee. Good friend of ours, Clay Guida. Clay, how are you?
Hey, Prez, how you doing? I'm great. Thanks for having me on the show.
How are you feeling? Because I'm a little nervous with weigh-ins tomorrow. I know typically you don't want to talk to guys on a Thursday night.
Talk to me on a Friday. They can talk to me at 350 before I get on the scale for all I care.
how did the press conference go today? I tried to watch some of it. Did you get a little upset at some of those questions, or are you just getting tired of the same questions, whether it's from Chad or whether it's from the media?
Oh, I don't get upset. It was a misinterpretation a little bit of the question. I thought I heard him say something different, and it's all good. Ariel is very articulate, and he has good questions, so it's all good, man.
Did you get upset by the things that Chad said? Because let me kind of throw this out, and I'm not trying to. Everybody knows I'm a Clay Guida guy, and I'm always going to support Clay Guida. But the thing that bothers me is the same things that have been said about you could be said about a guy that's the welterweight champion, but they never say that. And to me, that kind of bothers me in the fact that be consistent if you have a feeling.
Right. I hear where you're coming from. There's always critics. I mean, yeah. To me, GSP is one of the greatest, and he hasn't finished a guy in how long, and I love the guy. And there's always people, criticizing, GSP, this and that, and can't finish a fight. Dude, look what he does to everybody, though. He destroys everyone for 25 minutes. He beats a jiu-jitsu guy, jiu-jitsu. He outstrikes a striker. He out-wrestles a college Olympic wrestler. So if they're going to be consistent across the board,
Exactly. What was in the baggie of goodies when somebody asked you about it, if you cheated during your diet? You took a baggie out, but we couldn't tell what it was.
Just little almonds and walnuts and macadamias, little snack pack.
And that's a cheat? That seems kind of healthy to me.
It was quite healthy.
Exactly. Talk to us a little bit, about the diet. Obviously dropping down. Is that a weight that you have to work at to get to and stay at? Or is it just status quo now?
Oh, it's about maintaining, throughout a month. It's from a guy who's kind of in your neck of the woods in George Lockhart. He's from Atlanta, and the fitness VT diet. And I follow the guys that are ahead of me that got on it, Brian Stan and John Jones and Kenny Florian, and I followed some of the smartest guys in their approach to a new diet, and it worked for them, so I knew it would work for me.
What have you done different on the diet? What foods have you cut out that you would eat, 6 months ago, a year ago?
I just don't, I don't go to steak dinners, 2 nights a week. I don't go eat pasta and stuff like that. This is a very dialed in, simple diet based on carbs, fats, and proteins. I get to eat a lot of fish and chicken and turkey and stuff like that. And a lot of fruits and veggies and almond butter, coming on my ears. So it's actually quite enjoyable. It's just, following the times and with the simple plan that's laid out in front of me. Pretty simple. Anyone can do it. It's just a matter of sticking with it.
And that's the exact thing, the willpower. I've started a couple of them, and I'll do it for a couple of weeks. Now, granted, I don't need to get down to under 200 pounds, so it doesn't matter. But now, will you consistently stay on that, or say after the fight on Saturday, will you go and have a couple things, enjoy some stuff, and then get back on it?
Oh, I'm going to try to maintain. I blew up to heavier than I'd ever been after this last fight because I thought, within 2 weeks after my fight, I thought, the world was going to end, so I had to eat everything in sight, but I realized that's not the case, so I'm going to definitely make a great effort to maintain my weight and keep it low this time, So, no, I'll definitely, have a good time, but I'll definitely follow some sort of a diet instead of eating.
Totally going off.
Instead of eating, pasta, burgers, just everything in sight. Every gas station I would drive by, I'd pull over and grab, a thing of trail mix. I'd grab, I don't eat terrible food, but it's like I was just stuffing myself for the first 2 weeks, and then food didn't taste good after that.
Well, maybe if you got a different vehicle that you didn't have to stop at every gas station that you drove by.
Yeah, sometimes the RV holds a little too much food.
Exactly. Now, we had a mutual friend of ours on at the first hour, Ray Flores, who talked a little bit about Pettis fighting in his hometown. And even though Milwaukee's not your hometown, it's pretty close. Any kind of thoughts or pressures, about being fairly close to home?
No, no pressures at all. In fact, it's just a motivator. I'm an hour from Milwaukee, and it's great. We're going to definitely have a lot of, hopefully, have a lot of support in the Milwaukee fans and people from over the border in Illinois. I'm really excited to be fighting in the Chicagoland, Milwaukee area, and it's a special night for Anthony and myself.
What can you tell us, obviously, without giving game plans and all that kind of stuff? There was talk in the press conference today. You said the new Clay Guida or the old Clay Guida or whatever. What Clay Guida, what are we going to see?
You're going to see the Tasmanian Devil, plain and simple.
On the way to the cage as well.
Always.
Do you ever plan that stuff out? And I know that we've talked about this numerous times. Is it just, the energy and the excitement kind of takes over, or do you think about as you're running and, to the cage?
No, it's exactly it. It's just being in the moment. It's my little concert, and I make the most of it, man. I'm Mick Jagger for 5 minutes. I'm Jimmy Page and Robert Plant. I get to go out there and have my own rock concert.
Ironic that you said Mick Jagger, because now I'm going to have to send you some stuff from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
They just sent me a package of stuff, tickets and T-shirts from the Rolling Stones and all that. So I guess I'm going to have to send that up to you since you threw his name out. Obviously, you fought both guys that are in the main event. Give me your take. Give me your thoughts.
It's going to be a battle. It's going to be a war, and knowing that Henderson has come into other people's towns and rained on their parade, we'll see if he can do it here in Milwaukee. He's got a lot of momentum behind him. Anthony Pettis has been virtually untouchable since I fought him 2 summers ago. I don't even know if he's really been taken down in since our fight. I'm going to stick with the champ though, just because of the wrestling aspect and the heavy ground and pound. I think he might be able to. I think you can eke out another 5-round split decision. I think it's going to be a very, very exciting fight.
As a fan of the sport, Clay, with you being on the card, are you able to, kind of release and watch some, whether it's the early fights before you need to start getting mentally ready, or after a fight? Do you need time to kind of come down from the fight and enjoy whether it's the Barnett-Mir fight or the main event, or is that something that you'll watch next week?
Oh, yeah, I'll watch a couple of the prelims, and then start warming up, and then celebrating, hopefully in the locker room, and watch the other fights. Probably in the locker room, or maybe run out for the main event and catch it. Sneak out there real quick. So I'm a fight fan as well.
How many face paddles did your parents make, and will be in the audience there in Milwaukee?
I lost track, man. I couldn't tell you, but I know you'll be seeing some Guida Mafia paraphernalia and merchandise.
Awesome, and I meant to even start the conversation with you to ask how your parents are doing and how your brother is.
They're great. My dad is actually in the hotel with me right now. My mom, they're coming up tomorrow. My brother will be there. His family's great, man. They're looking forward to a great win.
Now, I know that I've had the opportunity to have your mom on before. Obviously, a new audience. Obviously, we're now streamed on MMA Weekly as well. What's it like? What have they told you it's like for them as the parent to either go to a fight, which is to me even worse than watching it on TV, when it's your child?
Oh, I'd much rather have them there than seeing a couple of fights they had to. When I fought in Ireland, they had to watch it from home. There can be nothing worse than that. You know what I mean? I love having them there. They love being there. I know they're a nervous wreck, but they're maturing as the fights go on, and it's been a fun road we've traveled, and it's going to continue for a long time.
When Jason slaps the crap out of you, do you feel that, or is that just something to get you ready?
Nobody hits me harder. It gets me ready for the fight.
Awesome. Well, Clay, thank you very much for your time. I'm looking forward to the fight. It's going to be a great fight, and it's going to put you back on the road, move you back up to what I know is your ultimate goal, and that's to get a title.
It means a lot, Press. Thank you guys so much. Always a pleasure to be on with you, and I want to thank everyone at Jackson. Excuse me. All my coaches, I want to thank everyone at Gracie Baja and Barata, Rafael Freitas, and Tusa. These guys for helping me with my jiu-jitsu, and everyone over at Kettlebells, at Firebells, and the Kettlebell Studio I do my strength and conditioning at in Albuquerque, and wish Mama D on a safe journey out here. One of my recovery and strength coaches, she's doing a 10,000-mile motorcycle trip around the country and up to the Alaska Highway. And I want to thank everybody in the Midwest for coming out and supporting the fighters and the Harley-Davidson event. It's a great cause. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I want to thank you guys at Knockout Radio for always supporting us.
Absolutely. And your new merchandise will be available on your website?
You betcha. It's going to be a great shirt. Check it out. You'll see it tomorrow at the weigh-in.
Go ahead and check it out there, guys that are sitting here. Clay, thank you very much. Best of luck on Saturday, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks a lot, guys. Take care.
Clay Guida, everybody, back in the octagon Saturday night against Chad Mendes.
Is your significant other nagging you about cleaning out the garage? Or spending too much on a storage unit? Needing to sell or purchase new or used equipment for your business? PostShareSell.com is your solution. A cool and innovative way to buy, sell, or trade online. With an easy-to-use mobile phone app and built-in sharing capabilities, post a free ad in less than 60 seconds. PostShareSell.com. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3. Post it, share it, sell it.
Yeah, okay. As you guys are banging to the music of PostShareSell.com. All right, we got a few minutes before the Houston Assassin, Sam Hoger, is going to come on. So any thoughts as you guys are just sitting there doing whatever you guys sit there and do?
We're producing.
You're producing?
Yeah.
Is that what you're doing? What have you produced?
20-7 South Carolina.
All right. Well, as long as you were producing something, as long as something got done, that fights that you guys are most looking forward to on Saturday night, we will be at Hooters in 4th Street, and I just loaded up 2 boxes of swag that we're going to be bringing out there to give away.
Very nice.
Now, we won't just give it away to people there. We'll be doing live tweets. So you guys will be producing that. In other words, you two will be doing that.
As long as the internet doesn't go down like it did on Tuesday, we're good.
We've got the best internet known to man, and that's from XCOM Global.
Perfect.
And we'll have the hotspot. We'll be on. We'll be able to get those tweets out, and it'll all be taken care of. So we'll give prizes away at Hooters on 4th Street, as well as throughout the Twitter universe.
I think that's known as the Twitterverse.
It is the Twitterverse. Twitterverse, Twitter universe. I believe we will be getting the Houston Assassin. What was Houston Alexander's? He was just, I think, the assassin, right?
Well,
I think so.
We can certainly look that up. You asked earlier about...
It was a long time ago.
Well, when he asked her.
No, yeah, when you asked about who we think is going to be the most exciting fight, yeah, he was just the assassin.
Okay.
Are you interested at all at the Rothwell-Brendan Vera fight?
I am a little bit. Rothwell was ready to retire, and then he won that big fight. Brandon Vera was the next great thing, and then obviously fell on some hard times, and obviously fought John Jones, and I think
he fought John Jones, all right.
Yeah. This Brandon Vera is a little different. At least that's what he has said. Tell me his last fight, wasn't he?
He lost to Shogun.
All right, the fight before then.
He beat Elliot Marshall.
Okay. Where he looked pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say that was a close fight, too, because we had the Fire Marshall on.
It was a unanimous decision.
All right, 29-28, or does it say 30-27? I just remembered it vaguely being a close fight because we had Elliot on, and then didn't he go to for Bang Bang Shrimp or something?
That's
right. Yeah, when we had him on, he was getting ready to go to Bonefish, and it was Wednesday.
Right.
It's the $5 Bang Bang.
Let's see. It was 29-28 all the way across.
Okay. And I believe that it was close. It was one of those. In the words of Derek Kukolich, nothing is a screw job. When it's 29-28 and it's so close, I still want to find out, and I'll try to do that later tonight or tomorrow on the 30-27s each way, because that's still. I mean, again, it could be one punch. It could be, it can be done, but I kind of cringe, when I see that.
It looks bad.
It does. It looks bad, and I feel bad as a judge, as a MMA media person, as a media fan. Not a media fan, an MMA fan. I'm not necessarily a fan of media, or most media.
I would say quite the opposite, probably.
Some media is okay.
Yeah, some. Some are okay. I'd say probably not a lot of them. Although that's like that with any job. I mean, it's not.
Yeah.
Not any different. Do you think the TRT is going to make Rothwell any different?
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Didn't Belfort say it makes him feel 28?
He does.
Well,
he does. He feels that way.
I'm sure it's going to help anybody who takes it. Now, will it help him to the extent that it's helped other people? I don't know. Will it help him to the extent of other people the more he takes it? Again, I would assume, but you know what assume means.
Absolutely.
I would like to see it totally banned.
And
I'm not a fan of it.
Vera is kind of like you. He has said he just wants consistency. That's what he wants. He says if it's good for one person, it should be good for all. If it's not good for another person, then it shouldn't be good for all.
Well, don't they make that decision on levels?
Probably.
Okay.
I'd imagine so. And again, can a doctor be influenced to say, okay, yeah,
absolutely.
You need it? So, I mean, what does that really mean when it comes down to it? They could say, oh, I have this issue. I mean, the doctor themselves could not really know what's going on.
Oh, absolutely.
And it could just be lies all the way.
Believe me, I know. I just got through doing that exact thing with my doctor for sleep apnea stuff. I pretty much told him what I wanted. He didn't tell me what I needed. You know, and I don't think I did anything wrong, but, you know, I did the sleep apnea test. I found that I fall in that category. I am eligible for certain equipment. I told him what equipment I wanted because it just so happens I have a friend that sells that equipment. So when the doctor first put in X because he didn't know, and X was a piece of crap, I refused to take it. And then I went and got back in contact with him. I did whatever, and I was like, this is what I want. This is the only thing that I'll take.
Okay. It can happen anywhere.
Oh, of course.
For anything.
No, I mean, of course, whether it's an attorney, whether it's a doctor, it's your doctor. It's, hey, listen, doc, I really need this. I really, all right, so we'll fudge it a little bit. You're at a 90 and you need to be at an 88, so we'll say 87 because who's going to know? That's why I don't like it. I also don't like it because it does make you feel younger. And that's the point of getting older.
It happens.
That's the advantage. Everybody. You have an advantage as an older, more experienced fighter going into fighting a younger guy. A lot of times, we've talked about, where I don't think it's fair that an older guy is fighting a younger guy because the older guy's more experienced, more this, more that. So now he's more experienced and all that, and his body feels like he's in his 20s. And it's just, never have liked it, never will like it, not going to...
support it?
Yeah.
For lack of a better term.
We are still trying to get a hold of this knucklehead. Hello, Sam. As I put damn.
Classy
Freddie Blassie.
Okay, so what? We have 164 coming up this weekend. We have Fight Night 20,000. 28 with Bader. Too early to talk 165, Jones Gustafson?
Yeah.
Okay.
Only because there's so many before then.
Well, and we've already talked about them. Actually, something that we were talking about earlier, sort of the expansion. You asked Ray about when are they going to Russia?
They are going.
Well, they are going, but they are also going to be really hitting their Asia expansion hard next year.
Didn't they just announce Singapore?
Singapore, January 4th. And then they have multiple other already planned, no set dates, but at least two will return to Macau. Another one in Tokyo. They've done one the last 2 years there, and then at least one in Manila as well. But yeah, no fights, no dates have been confirmed. They also have the Chinese Tough that's going to start filming. I think it's November as well. So I don't know how much of that we'll be able to see. I'm assuming it'll be online like the Brazil ones were, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, they're going to make them all
available.
Yeah.
On just not on TV. So hitting Asia hard, you're going to be having.
I wonder if they're doing that because of that ONE FC.
Probably. I mean, ONE FC has stated that they have Asia. They want to stay in Asia. They don't want to head outside of Asia. That's their market. But UFC has pretty much said, at least in their actions, if not outright,
global.
We're going to be everywhere. So it's just yet another takeover, if you will. But do you think ONE FC will be able to keep their head above water, considering UFC's moving in?
Well, first and foremost, we don't know where their head is above water now. I'm just saying, we don't know what's going on. We don't know ticket sales. We don't know money. I know that I get the press releases and they've signed some people, this, that, the other. If the UFC goes over there and takes the talent, which if they do, they're going to.
Probably will, yeah.
I would imagine they could still stay afloat if their business practice stays consistent, not with what we think Bellator is now going to do. Now, I wanted to touch base on this a little bit earlier, and even though Eddie Alvarez, as I'm wearing my Philadelphia Fight shirt, Eddie Alvarez has refused to talk about his contract. But rumors have it that if Eddie Alvarez wins, there is an automatic rematch. If Eddie Alvarez loses, he will then be released from his contract.
Oh.
And Dana White has said they have no interest in Eddie Alvarez.
Oh, wow. Ugh.
So Dana's obviously gone off on Bjorn, gone off on the whole deal.
Sure.
And basically what Zuffa is saying, rightfully so, we're not going to take other people's, you get released by a lower organization.
Why would we take you?
Why would we take you?
Sure.
So if you're being released, which is just a royal screw job to Eddie Alvarez.
This is obviously a must-win fight for him. Because what else is he going to do? Where's he going to go?
Which still goes back to what we talked about last week. Why are they screwing Eddie Alvarez, but they're telling Askren, see ya, but we think you're better than GSP? That's the thing that I don't comprehend. Bjorn believes in his mind, whatever, just like he believed that, what's the guy from Miami? Hector Lombard.
Yes.
Was going to ramble right through and destroy everybody. If he believes Askren is that good, why is he letting him go?
Why do you let your stud go to somewhere else? Yeah, it doesn't make sense, but even Dana has come out and said that he doesn't think it's just that simple. He thinks that even if Bellator were to let Askren go and test the market, if you will, when the UFC would try to make an offer or whatnot, then he'd still try to match it, and it would just be the same exact thing over again with Eddie Alvarez situation, which, again, does not make sense at all.
Maybe what we'll do is we'll get our contract lawyer, who I believe is one of the best, if not the best in the country, and ask him the question, if Askren goes to Zuffa, and Zuffa gives him a low ball contract offer, playing that game, and then Bellator sees how low it is and doesn't match it, can then they give him a super bonus or renegotiate or give him a new contract? Or do you think if they go and do that, that's when Bellator re-signs them at some ridiculously low number?
Wow.
Conspiracy. That's what this is all about.
Yeah, I mean, I can see both happening, actually. I mean, I can see Bellator going ahead and saying, okay, yeah, we don't want you, go ahead. And then that actually puts Zuffa in a really good spot because they only are required to pay him that lowball number. Now, it's up to Askren to accept that as well. There's two sides to that.
But if they give him a lowball, if Dana's thought is that they're trying to get a lowball whatever, if they lowball Askren and then Bellator matches it, why did they release him?
Well, I mean, that's the question overall anyway. Why are they trying to release somebody that they hang their hat on? I mean, he is their guy. He is it.
I just feel bad for Eddie.
Sure.
I really do, because not too long ago, and I know that I said this, I don't even care about this fight now. It's been so long since Eddie Alvarez has been in a cage. I almost think it's a moot point.
Who knows what we're going to see?
You're talking about ring rust. But it's a shame because it's now something that I just have very little interest in. Speaking of very little interest, Czech Congo signs with Bellator.
Well, and
The business model.
And that's the business model. That's because I saw that on MMA Weekly's Facebook page.
On what Facebook page?
That would be MMA Weekly's.
Okay.
And I went ahead and shared that. And the big news there, considering it's not big news, but the big news there is it's just another example of Bellator not following their business model to which they say they would stick. So, I mean, can you really believe anything that is said anymore? Because we've seen stuff like this with Dana too, where he says one thing and something else happens. So, I mean, what's the point in really listening to what the president say almost?
I agree.
'Cause
I'm with you.
Who knows what's going to happen?
I know that one of the three of you over there have the entire card for Saturday. We've talked about the three from the press conference today, the three, and I'm almost going to call them three co-main events. Because no matter what you think of Clay Guida and his new style, and I think you will see a different Clay Guida, this will be his second fight at the weight. He's now learned how to do the diet and, play the whole game out. And he's fighting, I believe Chad Mendes is 2 or 3.
He's number 1 featherweight contender.
All right. I get so confused at, who, what, where, how, and when. So that to me is a co-main event fight. So really there's 2 co-main events, and I don't care what anybody says. I'm looking forward to Frank Mir and Josh Barnett.
It's going to be exciting.
And I'm also looking forward to Josh Barnett's interview after.
What about his entrance?
I don't think he does too much to the entrance, does he?
I don't know.
I don't think he does. I know that somebody asked how this fight would have gone down back then, 10 years ago. And, I don't remember the exact words, but I think he said that they would have used spears and they would have drawn blood and they would have this and they would have that.
They can still draw blood.
Well, there's going to be blood in this fight.
There will be blood.
There will be blood. There will be a submission in this fight. I would be surprised if this isn't a submission.
Should they just go...
Start on the ground?
No, just a submission fight. They go until someone taps. No judges, no knockouts.
It's jiu-jitsu.
Just
straight up jiu-jitsu.
No points, no nothing. Just submission.
I would be okay with that.
Yeah,
I don't think that'll necessarily happen.
Oh, of course not.
But I'm looking forward to the fight. I think it's going to be an entertaining fight. Even the Frank Mir that shows up out of shape sometimes is still exciting because he can still pull something off.
That's very true statement.
Buffet.
Now, in the Cormier fight, he started late, but he started to come along. I think it was late in the second or maybe, midway through the third or whatever. And that's the problem with the third round fight. And I know that he said that earlier today in the press conference. So I'm looking forward to that. And then I don't want to make a prediction, but if you put my feet to the fire and said I had to pick one or the other, I'm leaning towards Pettis. Just the way Pettis has pretty much dominated his fights and the fact that Benson really hasn't. And I know Ray Flores tried to change my opinion on that a little bit, and maybe this is the fight that will do that. But until that happens, where do I have do you have the pound-for-pound list up?
I can momentarily. I do now.
Where does the media have Benson?
Benderson moved down from 5th to 6th. Cain Velasquez went from 6th to 5th.
I don't still understand that. Since the last time this rankings were done in a week ago.
Neither of them have fought yet. There was a change.
Yeah.
Did I do that, or is that on the...
No, that's overall. Do you want me to check yours?
And the other reason why it might happen is more people have done rankings.
That could be.
So the voting has changed a little bit.
That could be. Somebody new might have jumped on there and had him higher. Where do I have, what do you call him? Benderson?
Benderson, yeah. Let me pull your ranking sheet up right quick.
So is it Danderson? Can we do that?
No, he's just Henderson. He's been around longer, so he keeps the title Henderson.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so...
I know that we only have like 3.5 minutes, so much for our 25-minute interview that we were going to do with the Houston Assassin. But
cab driver.
I think the Houston Assassin might be on the line.
Oh, my goodness, what's going on? Is this the number one talk show about fights in the history of the world?
Yes, it is. Is this the Houston Assassin?
This is the Alaskan Assassin, baby. This is Sam Hoger. How are you guys doing? My gosh, these iPhones give you hell, don't they?
I'll tell you what. I had 25 minutes of questions for you. I have renamed you. Since you live in Houston now, and you don't, I know you're from Alaska, but you live in Houston now. You are the Houston assassin.
Come on, don't be racist now. Don't be crazy. Let's go. Man, I am telling you guys, this fight that's coming up between Benson and Pettis, I am expecting to see fireworks here. But, I mean, the greatest kick in the history of the world since Earth was created happened in that last fight. I just don't know if there's going to be something that Pettis can do to stop Benson's incredible fire-breathing tirade that he's had throughout the division. He's been able to he's been able to keep that belt. He does not seem to know how to lose a decision. He's got the judges paid off for something.
All right, well, and that was a question that I wanted to throw at you as a judge in the state of Florida. Do you believe that he won all those fights? I know the judges gave him those fights, but I can tell you at least 2, maybe 3 fights that I judged as I was sitting there on Media Row that I thought he lost.
Come on, Florida was that state where they had the election where it was Bush, and then it was Gore, then it was Bush. I mean, come on, those judges don't know how to count over there in Florida. Are you kidding me? You've got to be joking me. They messed up a whole presidential election. Of course they're going to mess up a fight. These guys couldn't get a fight right if it was a knockout by Mike Tyson in the first round. They'd still give it to the other guy on points on principle.
All right, before we run out of time, since we only have like 2 minutes left, and we're going to have to get you back on, but what's going on with your movie career?
I have decided to go ahead and start acting, and I've been a person who studied the Stanislavski method of acting for years, and I've decided to start pursuing that much more intensely. And now that I've really dedicated myself to the craft of acting, I've spent a lot of time on different sets doing different movies. I just got the SAG National for the Sprint commercial. I'm on this movie that's coming up with Robert De Niro called Grudge Match, where Robert De Niro and Sylvester Stallone are going to be fighting as the characters Rocky and Jake LaMotta from Raging Bull. It's a comedy by the same guy who did 50 First Dates, Peter Siegel. And, I'm SAG eligible now, and I'm looking to go to California and really pursue this. I want to get to the point where I get Best Actor of the Year from the Academy Awards, and I want to cash $15 million checks in order to go ahead and support my charity, Hoger Mania, where we go out and we feed the homeless at night.
So you're the next Bachelor.
No. I've got a girlfriend, Erica Lynn Duggar. She's a handful, but I'm a faithful man, Randy. You know that?
Talk to me in the minute and a half that we have left about your team. I saw that you just took some of your guys to New Orleans.
Yes, we did. Some of our guys went to New Orleans. They did all right. They could have done better, but what I'm really excited about is the kids who are going to be fighting this weekend. I've got the North Cut fighting this weekend. They're 79-time world champions in kickboxing and karate, and also they're champions in all kinds of different martial arts. And they transferred over to MMA, and I've been training them. And the sister, Colby Northcutt, is going to be fighting here soon. She's going to be fighting, I think this is her 3rd amateur fight. Or no, I'm sorry, the brother's fighting his 3rd amateur fight. The sister actually right now, her fight didn't materialize, so it's going to be the brother, Sagester Northcutt. You can look him up on Facebook, Sagester Northcutt. Look him up. I mean, the kid is a beast. The guy's been dominating martial arts competitions for years, and he's about to go out tomorrow and fight this guy who's been talking trash about policemen and war veterans. The guy's name is Clarence Brown. He's been talking about policemen, saying they're worthless, and war veterans talking trash about them. And Sagester has a lot of respect and, reverence for the people who have gone out to serve this country and serve us on a daily basis. And he's going to go fight to represent them tomorrow at Legacy Fighting Championship. Very cool. How much did you win on the Powerball when you guys pulled some money? Oh, my goodness, Randy, a win is a win, baby, in Powerball. Let me tell you that right now. If you get any money back from the lottery, that is a win. I think it amounted to like 78 cents a piece. But it's a win, Randy. It starts at 78 cents, then it's $16 million. You got to start somewhere. And a win in the lottery is a win. That's like they say in fighting. A win is a win. All right, we are out of time. I need to get you back on. You can't do me like this, Randy. Don't stop. Come on, we're having a good time. The show's over. I got to check out. We need to do this. Come on, man. You can't be doing this. I just got on. All right, I know we're out of time. Let's pull Sam Hoger down because he'll talk into the next show as well. We'll have to get him back on because he needs my cab service times so that we can get him up. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I want to thank Sam Hoger for at least finally getting on, as well as Clay Guida, Ray Flores, and our good friend Ryan Bader. Everybody have a great weekend. Hit me up at Knockout Radio.
At KOX.
Knockout Radio.
See you.